Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to hook up the AFR gauge and O2 sensor. So enjoy and stay tuned. Alright, so we're here in my buddy's garage. Say what's up, William. What's up to the YouTube peeps. So go ahead and jack your car up, of course. Put your jack stands on. We're going to go ahead and take off the O2 sensor, the wideband, and put the new wideband on. And then we're going to route the wires up along the firewall and then inside. And then I'll show you guys on how to hook up the wiring for the gauge. And then after that, I'll jump in and make the second video for the oil pressure gauge, because I got the oil pressure sensor adapter and that'll go somewhere back there. But so I'm gonna get down there and start taking this O2 sensor off, just letting it cool down for a minute. I used one of these O2 sensor wrenches to take off the O2 sensor. As you can tell, O2 sensor, first one, the primary, is off, and the new AEM O2 sensor wideband is hooked up, and I'm gonna go ahead and run it up that way. And now we'll jump into all the wiring. Pretty easy. Of course, if you got a car that's rusted down there, then your O2 sensor is gonna be a bitch to get off. But when you put it on, just go ahead and put like 20-30 pounds of torque. I don't know the actual torque, but you don't have to go hella tight. I mean, you have to go tight, but not hella tight. And that's pretty much it. So now we'll move into the inside and start doing all the wiring, get power and shit like that. So basically I got it right. I'll run it up from the bottom and then run the harness for the gauge out the hole. There's a hole right here that everybody should know about, where your fuse box wiring goes through. You just run it through there. And then I'll tuck it back behind the rack and pinion and plug it in. From the last video, I showed you guys on how to hook up the pod and how to run the wires. So basically, you're gonna run the wires along. You're gonna go ahead and pull this back, and if you look right here, there's a little slit where you can tuck the wires in, and then drop them down underneath the console, and then you'll have all your wiring right here. So your AFR is, of course, going to be your very long one, and then you're going to go ahead and feed it through the hole that's back behind that little plastic piece. I'll have to take all that off. So basically feed it through there, connect it to the O2 sensor, and then we'll jump into how to hook up all the wiring. Pretty simple. Black is ground, red is power. The white and blue, I don't know what they're for. Every video I've watched, they never hook them up, so don't know. All right, let's go ahead and I'll get all this taken out so I can feed that through the hole. What you want to do is you want to take off all your panels, the one down here, the one right here, so you can get access in there and be able to tuck all your wires up and whatever. So the carpet's up. You'll go ahead and take off that 10. Nope, yeah, just that single 10. This black piece will come off, and as you can see, the wiring right there goes back, and there's a rubber grommet back there that you got to take off to feed the wiring through. Pretty simple. So once you got the grommet out, that's what it's gonna look like. So I'm gonna go ahead and feed the AFR wire through that hole, and then plug it into the connector that runs from underneath the O2 sensor. Alright, so as you see, I fed the connector. The connector basically came through the hole where the grommet is, so I didn't have to run any of this through there. So then to get these grommets on with all this wiring in here, you probably got to split it in half. If you don't, then you're going to struggle with it. That's up to you. So I got the connector here. I'll go ahead and hook up the one for the gauge, and then I will tuck all the wiring for this connector up into here. That way it's all tucked away, and then we'll go ahead and start working on the power. So that's pretty much it. And then I'll have to go into the laptop eventually and on the K-Pro and hook up the wideband O2 sensor. So it's plugged in. Because if it's so short and you don't want it to hit your pedals, I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie it to here, and then probably run the wire along this side and up, and then tuck all of it. Right now we'll jump into hooking it up and getting power to it, and then I'll go ahead and tuck everything. So let me show you guys what you need to get power to this gauge. So to hook up the power, you have to get one of these. It's basically like a jumper wire kind of thing that hooks up in the fuse box. And the two holes up there, you're going to hook up two 10A fuses. And then you're going to go ahead and that's where you're going to hook up all your connectors. By these, you'll basically have the butt connector already connected, but we're using one that I already used, so I had to cut it and I'm going to put a butt connector on it. You're going to connect it to the fuse box. It's going to be the fourth one. Sorry, my lighting's bad. It's going to be the fourth one over on the bottom. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. You count over 4, and it'll be the one down there. Fourth one over. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can pull that one out, which is your alternator fuse. That's going to give you a signal, but it's also going to turn off when you turn off the key, so that your gauges turn off, so they're not always powered. So the fourth one over, it's a 10A. You'll go ahead and I'll show you guys real quick, but then you got to have two 10As to hook up into here. Say what's up to YouTube. He ain't even paying attention. Alright, we're doing some work over here too. We're putting a blow-off valve and some piping on his Volkswagen Jetta. What year's your Jetta? 2019 Jetta. You guys are doing that while I'm over here filming for you guys on this. So let's go ahead and jump into the wiring now. You got your wiring, you got your red and your black. Those are the ones you're going to be using. Like I said, I don't know what the white and blue do, but all you're looking for is power and signal. So basically, I'm going to take this red wire and hook it up to that connector right there. So I'm going to go ahead and crimp the butt connector and then hook that up. And then I'll show you guys what's next. Get this connected with the butt connector to your AFR wire. Then I'll show you what the next step is going to be for your next gauge. So this is going to be your direct power for your AFR, and then we're basically going to use T connectors and tap into this wire to get power to the boost and the oil pressure gauge. Said once you get it butted or connected together with the butt connector, you're going to go ahead and stick two 10AN fuses in there, and we're going to go ahead and plug it in, or first plug it in, and then we'll go ahead and hit the ground. The ground I'm probably going to put on this bolt right here. I already have a ground hooked up there, which I'm not using anymore, so I'll ground it there and then plug in there, and then we'll go ahead and turn it on and see if we get power and all that. So I got the ground hooked up, got the fuse thing hooked up, so we're gonna go ahead and turn it on and see if we got power, and then I'll go ahead and tape these up so there's nothing to that. So let's go ahead and hit the power and see if we get power to the gauge. Got the key in, I'm about to turn it on. AFR gauge is gonna be down here. Let's see what happens. Ooh, more power! Look at that. So it comes on, going. AFR looks like it's around 14.7, so it's reading right, which is good. Perfect. So that's how you hook up an AFR gauge. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Now this is, oh, look at that shit jumping around. Oh, I might have to go into the computer and actually change the wideband to, or change the settings on K-Pro to wideband. Now if you don't have K-Pro, I don't know how you go about doing that, but that's how I'm probably gonna have to do it. So I'll go ahead and do that too, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, so everything is looking good. I did go into the K-Pro and adjust it to the wideband. I don't think you have to. You just leave it on the stock one. I'm not 100% sure. I'll drive it later and try it out. I did start up and it did do fine, but if I have to, I will go into the K-Pro and change it to the wideband. But as of right now, that is good. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure. I got to research to see if I have to change it to the wideband or not. But it's hooked up, and that's how you do it. So pretty simple. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into the second video, which would be the oil pressure. So I'll go ahead and show you guys how to hook up the oil pressure. Kind of want to leave, if you're only doing 1 gauge AFR, this is the only step you need. Next step, we're gonna hook up the AFR, the oil pressure, and I'll show you how to tap into these wires. That way you can get signal and get power to them, and I'll show you how to hook it up to the oil pressure. So with that being said, that concludes this video for the AFR hookup. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Hope this helped you guys out. Like, subscribe, and KL Day, and check out the next one, oil pressure.